Hey, Matthew again, back at the hub with Lindsay, working on versions of downward dog and heading towards forward bends. One of the things that is, you see, what's so been great for me about studying Iyengar yoga is there are these utterances about certain poses that are, he'll say things like this is in every pose, blah, things like that, where you start to figure out how one of the lines is Tadasana is in every pose, right? And so, and that's going to be sitting, standing, all these things. And so there's one of the things that's really interesting in Tadasana, right, is that if you're just any student, one of the things you might say is bring the tailbone forward but hit the top of the thighs back, right? But actually it's also then extend down through your heels and lift your very low abdomen up. So what you're trying to do is make the junction, in my opinion, what you're trying to do, one of the things you're trying to do, is make the junction between your legs through your hips to your spine to run in better alignment, right? But what's really interesting is when you start to learn in Tadasana how to hit up and hit down, right, down through your heels and up with the lower abdomen, your chest changes, a whole bunch of things start happening, right? And this is an inward sensation that transcends the severed spinal cord. And one of the things that we did is when Lindsay does standing poses, this little action in the lower abdomen and the rise up is also part of how we're trying to help her feel through her prosthetic and standing poses. Right? But there's something like this going on in all the poses, and especially in some of the forward bends. So, but we're going to just do a version of downward-facing dog here off a chair, because this is a piece of furniture a lot of people have. You could do this at a countertop. So Lindsay's figured out different ways here. Again, we're trying to help her wrist, which was broken in the accident pretty badly, and Lindsay's having some irritation. So what we're trying to work on are ways that she could get the advantages of downward-facing dog without the pressures on her wrist, which eventually are not going to be good. So this is a good pose. And again, I'm going to try to show, and I'm not trying to fix her alignment or anything. I'm just trying to give the bone some reference. So I'm going down. This is the wrist that broke so badly in an original car accident. I'm actually trying to go down a little bit and raise the forearm up, not because I'm trying to change her physically, as much as I'm trying to show her what would it be like if the energy went through her. Does that feel good?
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you
actually
tell?
going to change my hand placement.
Change your hands, yeah.
There we go.
Because she can't get on her whole wrist, remember, well, you don't know that she can't bend this way, right? And so I'm just trying to help the awareness move more from her wrist to her forearm, right? So she can get the sensation of energy traveling through what's a natural fusion from her break, so things don't get so stuck when she's in downward facing dog, right? And so all this, I'm going to let her go on your own pose. So just remember the feelings of this. And now I don't have to touch as much. She'll remember the imprint on both sides, right? And then I'm going to help her lengthen here, right? You feel that change in your wrist? Can you feel that change? Yep. And so I'm just trying to get her to connect dots. And so now I want her to figure out how to you hit your leg, your femur bone straight back, right? To actually get in, eventually you drop your heels. I know you maybe would want a wedge there, but just and don't. So you say about hyperextending your knees. I'm just going to touch your knees, right? So go into the pose again. Is this being okay?
Yep.
Okay. So she often puts a wedge on it, but I'm just going to help her not hyperextend into her knees, right? So just to remind her not to push back so hard here. That means you have to open your armpits. Open your armpits without pushing your legs back. There you go, right? She needs to lengthen right through here for this not to get pushed back. Good, and then come on up. All right, so what I want to do now is bring the chair away. So there's a lot of ways. This, again, is taking some gravity out of the pose. I want to take the chair away. Will you come and grab the chair, Amy? And go down to the ground again.
Okay.
So sit first in Tadasana. So just sit down and put your legs straight out in front of you.
Feet at the wall?
Sure. So obviously she's in a similar position here. Now if she leans forward, you touch the wall or not?
No.
Okay.
I would
So
use
this
blocks.
is good. So I'm just gonna just for a second do this for her, so she doesn't have to hang in gravity. Right? So lean forward a little bit more. Right? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're just trying to create the conditions.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Where she's got the wall here. So now we're going to do from here, and that, when I was take your arms down. And so now grab like your shins or whatever you want to call that. So head. Do not a forward bend, but do downward facing dog. No, keep your hands on your shins.
Okay.
And figure out how to work your legs without locking your knees. Don't lock your knees. Do you want me to put some underneath your knees? Do you want a blanket underneath your knees?
Yeah, I think I will take a blanket, please.
So you can tell right away, I can watch Lindsay, and she's figuring stuff out as we're working, right? I saw her re-engage her knees, going like, oh, this isn't quite right. She didn't want to say anything. And so if she puts that under her knees, at whatever height she knows better than me, right? Because where her leg has gone below her knee, and so she tends to push down into her knee, and that's got to feel better, right? Is that okay? Yes, no, maybe so.
There.
I love that she's figuring out what she likes as we're working here. And so come forward again. Don't arch your low back. Because I know you've said to me you take poses in your low back, right? And it's so we got to watch that over and over. So hit your thighs down more and take your low back slightly back as you push your heels into the wall. Right? So I'm trying to get her not to arc her back as much, right? So this is not really down, this is the beginning towards a forward bend. Right? But it also has got, if they were to take just one arm, take your one arm
I
up.
think I would put blocks here.
But I want you to take one arm up.
Okay.
Push, no, just one.
Oh, yep.
Do with the arm down and the arm up. Make them do yoga. Yep. Make that go through your legs. And then switch. Right? Arm up, arm down. Right? So you're trying to, I know it seems weird, but now we're entering in variation where she's got it, and then take your arm down. We're entering variation between arms and legs that actually make her brain work differently. Right? And so now, can you go to simple cross legs? And come in and do what is often a way to do downward facing dog. If this is how I do it at the wall, scoot in a little bit. And so now she can reach the wall. And bring your hands in. Can you bring your palms in? You're going to sit up on a lift? Wow, sounds good. So right now she's approaching forward bends, right? Okay, so here, would you prefer doing it on your fingertips? Or so here's you start playing with the wrist thing. You like it like this?
I think that I would take a block so that my wrists are more symmetrical and that I wasn't kind of on the...
You would take a block so you'd be more back like this?
Yeah.
We have a couple foam blocks. We're getting foam because it's lighter. So again, what we want her to get is to have this. You like that better? Because we're wanting not her to take so much load here, and yet figure out how to extend. So the challenges of doing downward facing dog when you're seated like this is that you've got to still figure out how to lengthen your spine. So you have to lengthen from inside to out, hitting down with your sitting bones, and lengthening, and letting that feed up to your hands. There you go. Otherwise, the tendency is to overarch here, okay? And again, these are some of the ways, and you can make this be gruelingly hard, just because traditional poses aren't always harder. This one takes much more mindfulness, much more awareness, not mindfulness. Good, and then slowly release. So now, tell me about, so we're going to scoot back now,
Okay.
right, a little bit, and tell me a little bit about your forward bend practice.
It's not my favorite.
It's not your favorite.
No.
Anyone else out there love forward bends? Not that many people love forward bends. So what is it about it that she loves twists?
I do. That I have a hard time like engaging my abdomen and like grounding down through my sit bones and feeling like I have the length of my spine. There's like this constant, like I'm like, okay, down through my sit bones, engaging my abdomen and bringing it more in towards my spine as opposed to like letting my belly kind of fall forward, which then loads my low back. So it's just work, and that I just haven't put in the effort.
Well, yeah, no, but you're also describing a problem that everybody has, because if you don't do it right, everyone takes it in the low back and the sacrum. Okay, so you say you have a hard time hitting down to the sitting bones,
Yeah.
and rising the spine up. So, what were you just doing in downward facing dog?
The same thing.
Right.
Yep.
So now try to figure out, as preparation for your, how to do it. So when in some of the positions you were in, you weren't you weren't loading your back.
Right.
So how do you bring that to here? Like, what do you got to do differently?
Wake up my legs.
Which, can you imagine, is pretty intense to hard to do, right? Because if she just wakes up, she has to wake up the whole length of her leg, right? So she's being smart right now. Like, it's such a good thing to see how she thinks and works, right? So I want you to see.
So I think I would probably just shift this whole setup forward so that would be up against the wall. We could do that.
Yep, let's do that. So one of the great things about downward facing dog is it shows you exactly the length that Lindsay was saying she wanted. It shows you how to do it. Right, it's more dynamic when you're working against gravity, so it helps the space open more. So do you want something underneath your knees? Or
No, not with the block here.
Yeah, so you see she's got her favorite spot, right? So I want you to, everyone's got a favorite spot, right? I want her to push into my fingers and push into her heels. See what I just asked? Keep this space not going forward and push to her heels. So one of the reasons why, so if you think about what's going on with Lindsay here, her prosthetic starts right here, right? And so that means she has less, her brain is getting less feedback at her base, right? So to compensate for that, she arches here to get a sense of control, which, by the way, a lot of people do in forward bends. So one of the things that Lindsay has to do is to actually practice a full pose without as much control and trust that you're doing yoga more.
Yeah.
Trust that the energy, so as you come forward, I want both of you to take the awareness from your inner thighs back, come forward, but lengthen down the underside of your calves. Right? So you go back and then use that to create length. If you start doing that and all of a sudden you took your arms over your head, which I don't want you to do, you could go near or do it. You're doing downward facing dog, right?
Yep.
Yep, and so I'm trying to show you, you've already figured out how to make this space as you come down, right? But you've got to have a metaphysically seemingly impossible task of making sure that the awareness, while drawing back, is also lengthening out through your heels. And notice when you let it lengthen out through your heels, without pushing it, letting it, you can keep your low back back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe into that. Breathe into that. Breathe into the whole length of your leg, both legs. Staying patient enough to keep the back back. So eventually when she goes more for the forward bend, it's going to change again. But this length and this space is what's being compromised, right? And then release. Remember, you're saying you have a hard time keeping the length up? Because when you come forward and want to succeed in the forward bend, right? When you come down and grab your ankles, let's say, all this collapses. That's why Because Engar is always saying, inhale, extend up. Right? He's training those muscles to hold you up.
Yeah.
But you've got to figure out how to hit down, not just, you're having to hit down just here and not keeping your awareness as spread.
Right.
And I said something that you heard what I just said, and it's really hard to explain. Like, you got to keep your whole body there as you hit up. Keeping your ankles, not just pushing in your ankles.
Right.
Keeping your whole ankles. But you know what Because Anger does is have people belt their heels.
Yeah.
And belt their feet because he knows they're going to have a hard time in the first, well, I'm guessing that this is why he does it. There's a zillion reasons why he does it. But he's actually having you hit against something so as you come forward, you don't just collapse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right? And so this is where part of the intersection happens between downward facing dog and forward bends. And so we're going to stop here and then continue more because we have to get to the twists because she loves twists and do a little bit more forward bending and some twists. All right.